Picture this, it's Friday, you've worked 5 days straight, your feet hurt, your back hurts, and the only thing keeping you going is knowing that today is payday. The notification hits your phone, your check is in. But before you can even feel good about it, the math starts running in your head. Rent, phone bill, groceries, the kids. By the time you're done counting, there's almost nothing left and you haven't even eaten yet. This isn't a story about being irresponsible. This isn't about bad decisions or poor spending habits. This is the life of millions of people who work hard, do everything they're supposed to do, and still cannot get ahead. And the question nobody is asking out loud is this: what if that's not an accident? Look at any low-income neighborhood in any city in the world. What do you see on every corner? Check cashing stores, payday loan shops, rent-to-own furniture places, pawn shops, liquor stores. Now look at what you don't see: banks, investment firms, financial advisors, grocery stores with fresh food. This didn't happen by accident. Businesses go where the money is. And somebody figured out a very long time ago that there is a lot of money to be made from people who are struggling, not by helping them, by keeping them exactly where they are. The infrastructure built around lower income communities is not there to serve those communities. It is there to extract from them quietly, legally, and very, very profitably. And they don't just wait for you to walk through the door. They come to you. Think about the ads you see every single day. Fast food on every billboard in your neighborhood, lottery tickets at every checkout counter, payday loan commercials during daytime TV. Now ask yourself, when did you last see an advertisement for an index fund, a savings account, a first-time home buyer program? You didn't. Because those products don't make money from people who are already struggling. The marketing machine is not random. It is targeted. Companies spend billions of dollars every year studying where you live, what you watch, what you buy, and what your weaknesses are. And then they put the right product in front of you at the right moment. The lottery is a perfect example. Studies have shown that lower income households spend a significantly higher proportion of their income on lottery tickets than wealthy households, not because they are foolish, because the lottery is one of the only financial products marketed to them as a realistic path to a better life. When nobody shows you how to invest, a $2 ticket feels like the only bet available. That is not an accident, that is a business model. Here's where the numbers start to hurt. If you have a bank account, cashing your paycheck is free. It takes 30 seconds and costs you nothing. If you don't have a bank account, you go to a check cashing store and they charge you anywhere from 2 to 5% of your check just to access your own money. On a $1,000 paycheck, that's up to $50 gone before you've bought a single thing. That's $50 every 2 weeks, $200 a year, just to access your own money. Why don't people just open a bank account? It sounds simple, but many banks require a minimum balance to avoid monthly fees. If you can't maintain that balance, the fees eat into what little you have. Some people have had accounts closed due to overdrafts and now appear on a banking blacklist called check systems, which makes opening a new account almost impossible. So they go to the check cashing store every week, and that $50 never comes back. Now imagine you need $300 to cover a gap, an unexpected bill, a car repair, something your paycheck didn't cover. You can't go to a bank for $300. Banks don't do that. So you go to a payday loan shop. They give you the $300 and they charge you a fee, usually around $15 to $30 for every $100 borrowed. So on $300, you owe roughly $390 back on your next payday 2 weeks later. That sounds manageable until your next paycheck comes and you still can't cover everything, so you roll the loan over another fee, another 2 weeks. Run that interest rate out over a full year, and you're looking at an APR of anywhere between 300 and 400%. The same loan at a bank would cost you a fraction of that, but you can't get a bank loan without good credit, and you can't build good credit without access to credit products, and you can't access credit products without an established banking history. It is a circle with no door. Here's something most people have never heard of. It's called the poverty premium. It is the extra amount that people with lower incomes pay for the exact same things that wealthier people pay less for. Car insurance is higher in low-income zip codes, even for identical drivers. Why? Because of where you live. Buying furniture or appliances on rent-to-own plans costs 3 to 4 times more than buying the same item outright. But if you don't have $800 up front for a washing machine, you pay $40 a week for 2 years instead. That's over $4,000 for an $800 machine. Even buying food in a corner store versus a large supermarket costs significantly more per item. If there's no supermarket in your neighborhood, you pay the corner store price every day. Poor people don't spend more because they manage money badly. They spend more because everything around them costs more. The system charges extra for being at the bottom. Now, let's put real numbers on this because most people feel the weight of it without ever seeing the full picture. Someone spending $1,200 a year on check cashing fees over 10 years loses $12,000, not to debt, not to bad investments, just to access their own money. Someone using payday loans 4 times a year at $90 in fees each time spends $360 a year in borrowing costs alone. Over 10 years, that's $3,600 for loans that never built their credit, never helped them get ahead, and solved nothing long term. Someone buying a sofa, a washing machine, and a TV through rent to own over 10 years could easily pay $15,000 more than someone who bought the same items outright. Add it up, check cashing, payday loans, rent to own, higher insurance, corner store prices. Over a lifetime, the poverty premium can cost a person hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not because they spent carelessly, because the system made the expensive option the only accessible one. That is not a personal failure. That is a structural one. Nobody sat in a room and said, let's design a system to keep poor people poor. It didn't happen like that. It happened gradually through decisions made by people who never had to live with the consequences of those decisions. Financial products got designed to be profitable first and accessible second. Regulations got written that worked for people with money and not for people without it. Neighborhoods got built with certain businesses in mind. And generation after generation grew up in environments where the only financial behavior modeled for them was survival. Think about the person who raised you. Think about what they taught you about money, whether they meant to or not. If they cashed their checks at a check cashing store, that's what you grew up thinking was normal. If they played the lottery every week, that felt like financial planning. If they bought things on credit because there was no other way, you learned that debt was just part of life. They weren't teaching you bad habits, they were teaching you what they knew. And what they knew was shaped by the same system that shaped you. The cycle doesn't continue because families don't care. It continues because nobody breaks the chain of information. Because the people who could benefit most from financial education are the ones with the least access to it. You're sitting here right now watching this video. That already makes you different from where the cycle expected you to end up. You weren't born bad with money. You were born into a system that was never built for you to win. There's a moment, and if you've ever experienced it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the moment you stop being angry at yourself for not having enough and start seeing clearly what was placed around you and why. It doesn't make everything easy. It doesn't erase the bills or the debt or the stress, but something shifts because the enemy changes. It's no longer you, it's the pattern. And patterns can be broken. The check cashing store makes money when you don't have a bank account. So you open one, even a basic one, even a credit union account that asks for almost nothing to get started. The payday loan shop makes money when you have no emergency fund. So you build one. Even $10 a week, even $5 because $260 at the end of a year means the next emergency doesn't send you to a 400% interest loan. The rent-to-own store makes money when you need something now and can't wait. So you wait, you save the $800 instead of paying $4,000 over 2 years. That's $3,200 that stays in your pocket. None of this is easy. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it is, but none of it is complicated either. It just requires you to see the game before you can refuse to play it. The most dangerous thing you can become to a system designed to extract from you is educated, not school educated, financially educated, understanding how money actually moves, who profits from your habits, what the true cost of a decision is over time and not just today. Because here's the truth, every time you walk past the payday loan store, every time you buy groceries at the corner store instead of driving 20 minutes to the cheaper supermarket, every time you pay $40 a week on a washing machine you'll never own, someone is getting wealthy. Not because they're evil, because they built a business around a gap. And that gap is the space between where you are and what you know. Close the gap and the business model collapses, for you at least. Right now in this moment, you are aware of something that most people around you are not. You know that the financial products being marketed to you the hardest are usually the ones costing you the most. You know that convenience is never free. You know that the system profits most when you stay exactly where you are. That awareness is worth more than any paycheck, because from here, every decision you make about money is no longer automatic. It's intentional. And intentional is how people get out. Not overnight, not without difficulty, but out. The system was designed before you got here, but it doesn't get to decide where you end up. That part is still yours. Subscribe if this changed how you see money, because there's more where this came from.